Okay, there has got to be a better way to do this, but I just haven't found one I quite like yet. So, I'm going to do it as I've always done, talking into a mic. Hello, YouTube. This is Drakis360, and I'm back with a summer update. I've got a few things I want to talk about going forward, a few things in review that I want to discuss with you and clear any confusion about, and also make a rather important announcement for the channel. So if you stick around, you'll get some of that. So, the first thing that I think needs to be addressed is when I uploaded the Glizgus narrated Bionicle mock profile video. So this was a side project that I was looking into doing for the channel that would allow me to update the channel with some content that wasn't too intensive while my life was really busy. Unfortunately, the very first installment in this Bionicle mock narrated profile series I was planning, there was a problem with some viewers who were watching my channel from outside of the United States. There was a certain copyright issue with the background music that I had picked. I tried to pick an ambient track that I liked to set across my narration of the mock, but the copyright holders apparently blocked it in certain countries, and that prevented certain viewers of mine from watching it, and so I want to apologize for that. So in relation to Islanders, I had made the Islanders mock video as a kind of an introduction to a larger endeavor I had to upload the biographies and profiles of the characters of Islanders onto CustomBionicleWiki.com. However, there was a quite a debacle on my end, and I take responsibility for this. While I was writing the articles of the characters and the bios of the characters and the necessary world-building articles that I needed to explain some of the characters, I did not thoroughly study Custom Bionicle Wiki's rules and guidelines for posting content. This resulted in letters from admins that I received, or messages from admins that I received, saying that a lot of the content that I put up violated the guidelines and restrictions that were placed on Custom Bionicle Wiki. Some of the things involved were, I think a word was used, pseudo-religious, and so some of the characters that I came up with have their own religion, and there's religious jargon and talk in some of the articles, and there's a certain spirituality that's present in them. And Bionicle, it's not totally free of spirituality, but there's only really one dominant spirituality, and that is the religion of Matoran, let's say, which is love and adoration of the Great Spirit. So anything kind of short of that, or anything that's dabbling outside of Bionicle canon, I fully understand them not wanting to have people upload like their own religions or whatever, fake religions or fictitious religions onto Custom Bionicle Wiki. So that I get. Another complaint was that some of the content I uploaded had a really questionable link to Bionicle canon, and some of the stuff that I uploaded had somewhat I don't think I never thought it was explicitly sexual, but perhaps it was wandering a little too dangerously into sexuality. I may have detailed in some of the species of some of the, so there were many different species of these characters, and I may have it's been a long time since I've read the articles, but in summary, I may have ventured a little too precariously into that territory, and I want to be clear that I fully respect Custom Bionicle Wiki's guidelines. I'm pretty sure, I haven't checked, I kind of, I felt negatively about that. Not negatively, but badly. I felt like that was my error. I shouldn't have done it. And so I think I wrote a letter to one of the admins saying, I give you full permission to just wipe everything that I uploaded off, and I will not bother you again with this stuff. So what that told me, it told me a few things about the whole Islanders story that I've been working on. So it was intended as a my first foray into the Bionicle universe with some of these characters. As you know, my self-mock is Wolfhaug, and he was created with the Bionicle universe in mind. The only issue is I think I kind of see what the admins of Custom Bionicle Wiki were saying about a very loose connection to Bionicle. And I think it's true that the Islanders story and the characters in Islanders, most of them were belonging to species of my own creation. There was lore of my own creation. And really, some of the only things that remained connected to Bionicle were the Skakti race was involved, Toa were involved, Matoran were involved, and Kanohi were involved, as you certainly know with Wolfhaug's Kanohi blade. It was somewhat problematic for me, only because the whole premise of Wolfhaug as a character was that he was a non-Toa who had fabricated a way to use Kanohi powers and kind of stick it back to the Toa. That was his premise, and now I'm beginning to think that Islanders really has just deviated too far away from Bionicle canon, and I don't think I can really plausibly present it as Bionicle fan work. I'm beginning to think that I should shift Islanders entirely away from Bionicle and kind of make it my own thing. As I've mentioned perhaps previously, if you've been following the channel, you might be familiar with a project known as Landsong. That is made using Bionicle figures, but it has no relation to Bionicle at all. My previous series, What We Cannot See, that had Bionicles in it, but it had no relation to the Bionicle universe at all, story-wise. And that may just be my thinking pattern. I don't know. I might just naturally kind of want to wander away from Bionicle. So long story short, I'm undergoing some serious revisions to some of the characters. It may turn out that Wolfhaug no longer has a Kanohi blade. He might have a blade, but it might have different special powers unique to him that are completely separate from Kanohi and the Bionicle universe. So I would like to, if any of you are active on Custom Bionicle Wiki, and if any of you are, even if, I don't know, are any admins watching this channel, I doubt it, but if you are, I want to offer a personal apology for not thoroughly reading through the guidelines and just taking great liberty with Bionicle lore and with my characters, and kind of circumventing the rules in uploading everything in bulk at once. But I apologize, and I hope that this has not dampened my relationship with BioTube, the Bionicle community, and yeah, that's it really. So I hope there's no hard feelings, but if there are, hey, I've done what I can, so, you know. Alright, so, it looks like, based on prior experience, at this point in my recording, you are about halfway done with my talking. I applaud you. I mentioned at the beginning that there is an announcement of some magnitude that I wanted to bring to you all in a non-hyped way, I hope. Dispassionately as I can. So, for many, many years after I finished What We Cannot See, I moved out of the house that What We Cannot See was filmed in, but I was always within, driving distance of that house, and that was where most of the collection was stored, collection of Legos and Bionicles. So it always ended up being that I had a physical proximity to that hobby, and it always kind of hung around in my head. I always thought about it a lot, and that may be why I thought about doing a project right away after What We Cannot See. The first project I came up with was Landsong, and parts of Landsong I still like. I hope that one day maybe I can get back to it if there's the time, energy, and ability, but a lot of problems with the story, a lot of plot holes, issues with some of the characters, and in the end, that idea was scrapped, and the project was scrapped. It just wasn't feasible. So that was the first project that was invented. The next one was Islanders. That was the one that I had spent a great deal of time designing the characters. As you know, there have now been complications with that, and that may need fixing. But I stuck with that idea for quite a while. Thought about doing a series in a similar vein to What We Cannot See, kind of a progressively uploaded series to YouTube. But it never panned out. I had problems with that story. I thought that there was no real point to it. If you've ever followed one character's life in that story, I always thought that it just wouldn't make for a good watching experience. So I kept the story around as a means to house all of these biographies of Mox, but again, it never really came to fruition. Without getting too personal, my life got really busy during those years, really busy. And for a time last summer, around late July, early August, I was entertaining the idea of continuing What We Cannot See. I thought, there were a lot of perks about filming in that house and about filming in not having to hide the fact that you were filming in a house. There was a lot of technical perks to that. And it also had the benefit of being an established universe that I could work within, with established characters, established lore, and honestly, people who seem to care more about that project and that world. Okay, Dracus, when are you going to get to the point? The point is, I had floated the idea of continuing What We Cannot See last year, around in early August, and I had asked former viewers of What We Cannot See and some fans of What We Cannot See, would you like this to be continued? I had kind of given a fairly final ending to What We Cannot See in season 3, in the finale, and most people said they wouldn't mind a continuation. A few people told me no, they liked it where it was, and for a while I thought, maybe it's good where it is. That said, the idea lingered, and it refused to go away. I have a friend who I'm quite close with, who I have in the past bounced story ideas off of, and he's helped me refine certain story ideas, and he's someone I feel has good narrative instincts and generally understands how to tell a story and what a good story is and what strong characters are. We had wanted to collaborate on a creative project for some time, but we never really found a way to do it. We never found a project that was feasible enough for us. We never found a story that was strong enough for us. We just couldn't find anything for us. I approached him with the idea of continuing What We Cannot See. I said, hey, I used to do this YouTube series with my Legos on my YouTube channel. He's like, yeah, whatever. And I said, would you be interested in continuing it with me? He said, oh, do tell. And we have been working on it ever since. Briefly, in last December, I made the mock video of Islanders mocks, and at the end of that, I showcased prototype mocks from a project that I was calling Where We Cannot Go. So, it was meant as a continuation of the events of What We Cannot See, but was meant to be tonally distinguished from What We Cannot See. In other words, not What We Cannot See, Season 4. We wanted this to be its own story, and a story that audiences could get into without seeing anything prior, any prior material. So we have gone to great lengths to make sure that this story is accessible, or as accessible as can be possible, to new audiences, but also a faithful continuation of the established story of What We Cannot See. And it's a continuation of events sometime after season 3. I won't go too much into the premise of the story. All I can tell you is there was a period of time where we were brainstorming and we had decided that there's just no way we can feasibly do this project. Our schedules will be too chaotic, and we have to call it quits before we get into something we can't handle. Well, circumstances in our lives have changed. Myself personally, I had a summer off this summer specifically to really, really, really work on it. Come fall, I will be profoundly more busy than I am now. School will start up again for me, and I'll always have work. I may end up, it's a possibility I'll be working 2 different jobs while going to school. You can imagine that that's a bit of a constraint on time. But this summer has presented itself to both of us, and we are well into the production process of a new series. To my subscribers of Dracus360, to fans of What We Cannot See, to people who have been watching my channel and not seeing a whole lot of content uploaded on it for many, many years, I give you now a formal announcement. Dracus360 is going to have a new YouTube series. It will be titled Where We Cannot Go. It will be made accessible to audiences who are not familiar with What We Cannot See, but also it will stay faithful to What We Cannot See material. That is the announcement. Dracus360 will soon have a new series. How soon is another matter. The amount of work that has ended up being necessary to see this project through is much more than we anticipated, quite frankly. However, production value in this series is going to be higher than What We Cannot See. My friend is versed in a number of video editing programs. He has shown me some of the effects he's capable of. We have a green screen for some of the more visually special effects intensive sequences. I gotta tell you, so far this has ended up becoming the most technically intensive project I've ever worked on creatively in my life. And I'm not one to overuse hyperbole. I really don't like employing hyperbole to excess, but this is the biggest thing I've ever worked on, and the fact that I have a second person helping me kind of motivates me a little bit more, that now there's more people at stake involved in this. The characters have been built, and it has taken basically as long as the story has taken to finalize. There is a whole collection of Bionicle, Lego, and minifig mocks that I have built and have not shown on Dracus360 that I want you to see in their proper context in the actual story that they will appear in. So, Where We Cannot Go will have a new conflict. It will have a new villain. As you know, Gavla, who is the villain of What We Cannot See, she was killed in the finale. Spoiler. I don't know. But there will be a new villain. There will be a new conflict. There will be a new roster of characters, for the most part. Some returning characters. Perhaps if you see the pictures that I'm showing right now, you may get a sense of what the story might be centered around. But this is serious, people. In the past, because What We Cannot See was a one-man job, I did all of the voices. I will not be doing all of the voices this time. My friend is providing his voice talents for some of the characters. We have someone for the female characters, thank goodness. He certainly would not want to emulate a female voice again. But we have someone who has offered her talents to us, and this is for real. I know in the past I've raised ideas for future projects on Dracus360, and they always fizzled out. And largely that was because I was doing these projects on my own. I would by myself. The fact that I'm getting help this time is serious. My friend has provided incredible insight into the writing, the brainstorming, and the storyboarding process. To be clear, I still have most of the control of the story, but he has offered incredible ideas. And I'm not saying this just because he's my friend. I'm saying this because they're good ideas, and I truly believe the story that we have come up with is better because of his presence. I have sort of asserted a kind of veto power. So if he doesn't like an idea that I came up with, but I really, really think it's a good idea, I kind of say, too bad, buddy, we're going to do this. But for the most part, I have listened to him on his suggestions, and they've been good. They have been good. I haven't felt this good about a project in a very long time, and I've not gotten this far into a project in a very long time. We are currently in the filming process. We've scouted out locations for filming. The beginning of the series will be in the old What We Cannot See house, but it will branch out into other areas, and you're going to have to trust, people, that I'm not signing on to a major endeavor like this, a project that doesn't offer any financial incentives. I'm not going to join something like this unless I really believe. And I don't know how warranted my belief in the project is, but I feel confidently about it. I'm speaking from the heart. This is as serious a project as I've ever been on in quite a long time. So, to fans of What We Cannot See, to followers of Dracus 360, you may have some waiting to do in terms of this project. One thing is we're looking at possibly as late as winter of uploading the series, and What We Cannot See, as followers of it know, endured some hiatuses because, for whatever reason. But this, Where We Cannot Go, on the other hand, this is a fully planned out series. It is fully scripted, and we are not going to upload the first episode of Where We Cannot Go until the entire project is complete. So we are going to have all episodes finished before we upload the first one. So that may sound more like we're working on just one giant movie, but structurally it's meant to be a YouTube series with episodes and such. So it may be some time before we finalize this, but the major filming is going to be finished this summer. My friend has offered to do most of the video assembly and then run it by me for final approval while I return to school. So basically this summer is for us to do most of the collaborative two-man work jobs of this project. Some of the filming, some of the writing, and some of the building, and some of the scenes require two people on them. So we're going to get that done this summer, or at least most of it, and then continue whatever else over any vacation time I might get. But this is no joke, people. This is serious. I know I'm talking about it and I haven't really shown a whole lot about it, but I certainly hope you keep your subscription. This is a very unexpected turn for the channel, but it's kind of nice to be heading back to the What We Cannot See universe, and I hope that if you're a follower of this story, you're excited as much as I am to see it continued. So, I have talked probably for about my average 20 minutes, if not over. Thank you all for listening to my voice, which at this point must sound like low-budget Ambien. So, if nothing else, I hope I've put you all in a sleepy mood and can help you get to bed tonight. And if you're fans of What We Cannot See and fans of Dracus and just the fans of what I do here, well, be watching the subscription box because it'll be coming. How soon? I don't know, but it's on its way. And this is as serious as it gets. I guess I'll leave it at that. So it's just an announcement of an upcoming project, and one the likes of which Dracus 360 has not really seen before. And yeah, I hope you all have a great remainder of your summer, and I hope you keep watching. I hope you keep your eyes on the channel. Thank you all, and I'll see you when I see you.